The world has really changed since the we are facing the pandemic of COVID-19. And as in all times of crisis, it's important that we stay calm because staying calm helps us to face what we are facing and plan for it better. Now, as a consultant psychiatrist, lots of patients often are calling me and asking me what is holding for them for the future. And I think things we would like to divide the stress for people who are actually in this pandemic but have not been quarantined, but there is a lockdown and that's causing them stress. So the things to be followed for them, if I mention say a few steps, would be restricting social interactions, particularly face-to-face interactions, avoiding and not sort of hosting any planned events. So these are often sources of stress because as human beings, we are social animals. We also are at home, so your usual routine is disrupted, and I would suggest that have a variety in your day-to-day life, even if you are being at home, and sleep well and eat well. Now, important that people don't resort to panic buying because some of us are often worried that we might run out of provisions, and it's careful that if you buy all the hand sanitizers in your locality, then as a community, others wouldn't be safe. Although washing hands with soap is as good. So, but panic buying doesn't help. It creates a whole situation of panic. Taking your regular medications regularly, and so that you don't fall unwell. So somebody who has diabetes, to have their anti-diabetic medications. And if you're feeling unwell, both physically or psychologically, it's important that you access help from, initially call up a doctor near your home, and then maybe, ask for advice from statutory government agencies who are working 24/7 right now. Working from home, that's what many of my colleagues are doing, not health workers, but, in other professions. And it's not a holiday. It's important that to take that into account. And if you're feeling sort of pressured by various things which you have to look after, home work and your work life, it's important to schedule properly and take breaks, but at the same time work when you have to work, and have a routine for your day. Listening to relaxing music in some breaks is important. Also, you may not have thought about things which you would have liked to think about. So, doing those hobbies, in today's world with the internet, you could see a lot of things online. So, maybe, introspect about those things a little bit. You know, uh, there is a lot of information which is going around, which is sort of not necessarily based on scientific facts, and reduce the amount of time that you would like to spend collecting information. You do have to remain connected with the outside world, but base your information on authentic sources and don't indulge in too much time into interacting through social media, because a lot of rumors around going around, so people are scared. We have, as humanity, faced lots of challenges, and we have come out stronger. And I'm sure, my message would be: don't panic, follow the health hygiene measures, but at the same time, don't panic, and hopefully things will be better. So people who are under home quarantine, they are under an additional stress because they may often feel that they are being forced to stay at home. There is boredom and frustrations, and if you are in a quarantine facility, you can be really stressed because you have never been. It's like it's a forced enclosure. So of boredom, frustrations, and being this, losing this sense of control over your freedom, that is bound to affect you emotionally. There is also this fear that I might be possibly uh, corona positive patient and I might catch this deadly disease. If you're so that's a source of immense stress for some people. People might be stressed at home that they might run out of provisions, and there might be lack of scientific and coherent information because there is an information overload. So these are some of the sources of stress. So being forced into an isolation, boredom, frustrations, fear of catching coronavirus, running out of provisions, and lack of scientific information. Um, so these, I think, are the sources of stress for somebody under quarantine. The solutions for someone who is facing quarantine is, first of all, try to keep connected to the outside world through whatever means, telephone, phone a friend if you want to, a few times a day, maybe, ask how about how they are, and they would, I'm sure, ask how are you feeling. Share your emotions and feelings. I think that makes you feel better. Do exercise inside your home or inside the quarantine facility. Exercise often lifts mood, so that helps. Have a bit of variety in your day, and if you do feel unwell, physically or psychologically, it's important that you get help. Ask for help. If you're running out of provisions, ask for help from outsiders. You phone a friend, or phone the person whom you would have been asked to contact. you know it's also important that you keep a track when you are under quarantine, that when is the quarantine period coming to an end, because it's important that you have that end in sight, because if you have that end in sight, it often makes it more bearable. So these are the things which people are talking about. There is a Lancet review on psychological effects of quarantine published this month, and the review talks about these points.